right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
Supporting Travis Brown. Tonight marks 2 weeks since the Ferguson officer was severely injured on the job. How you can help his family as he continues to recover. Animal shelter shakeup.
I think we're at a great point to where, we're comfortable and confident at resuming operations.
The major change is coming to a local animal shelter in the coming months.
After a nice, comfortable week, changes are underway right now that will remind us summer is not over.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kelly Jackson. It's going to feel a little more like summer as we head into the weekend. Weather Impact Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell with this heat. And will there be humidity too, Scott?
It's starting to creep back in, that's for sure. You could feel it today. You know it wasn't as dry today as it was the last couple of days. Yesterday, we had those incredible dew points around 50 degrees during the afternoon. Today, we were above 60 on the dew point, and that number is going to continue to creep up heading through the overnight hours and into the weekend for sure. There's a look over at Busch Stadium, all quiet tonight. Yes, the weather is pretty quiet too. We have had a little area of showers showing up on the radar screen. Now, most of what you see with the green there is just your usual ground clutter, but right along Highway 61 here, going north of Troy up towards Bowling Green, that shower's on the radar. But here's the thing, the base of those clouds pretty doggone high, and outside of a random rogue sprinkle, most of that's not reaching the ground. Dew point has climbed up to 68 now. You can feel it when you walk outside. The humidity returning. Yes, it'll be a little more humid this weekend. It's definitely going to be warmer. We'll be above 90. But the rain chances for us this weekend, even though most of us could use some rain, the rain chances are going to stay quite low. We will talk more about where the chances for rain seem to be a little higher and some really big heat that arrives for the beginning of next week. That's in a few minutes, Kelly.
All right, see you then, Scott. Tonight marks 2 weeks since Ferguson police officer Travis Brown was seriously injured when a protester violently shoved him to the ground. Robert Townsend reports from Pagedale ahead of a benefit for the officer and his family.
The Carter Commons is the venue where on Saturday lots of people are expected to pack this place. They're coming here to support Ferguson police officer Travis Brown and his family.
TJ is a community-oriented police officer.
2 weeks ago, Officer Brown was on duty during a protest marking the 10th anniversary of the death of Michael Brown in Ferguson. Investigators say a protester attacked the 36-year-old officer and knocked him to the ground. Brown suffered brain injuries. The officer on the force for just 7 months and father of 2 has remained in the hospital ever since. A source close to his loved ones tells 5 on Your Side the family is in hopes that he wakes up from his medically induced sedation soon.
We stand with Ferguson Police Department.
Now the Drink House and several other Pagedale businesses have band together to host a fundraiser for Brown. Pagedale Police Chief Anthony Huckleberry says they hope to raise at least $20,000 for their fellow officer in blue.
We're going to be doing a fundraiser where people can enter in. They pay an entry fee, $25 for a VIP, $10 for a regular entry. All of that proceeds will go directly to the Browns family. We pray for a full recovery and that he's back to work soon.
The 6-hour event gets underway at 7 o'clock Saturday night. You can find more details right now on KSDK.com. In Pagedale, Robert Townsend, 5 on Your Side.
Also tomorrow, a benefit concert for first responders. Backstop Palooza takes place at the Chesterfield Amphitheater at 6 p.m. All proceeds will go to support the Backstoppers, which gives financial support to the families of first responders who died or were injured in the line of duty. Hours ago, Illinois State Police identified the suspect killed in a shootout with an Alton police officer. Vernon Randall Jr. died after he fired shots at Officer Alan Averback and his canine Odin. Odin died from his injuries. Officer Averback is recovering at home. Investigators have not said what led up to the shooting. The Alton Police Department flew its flags at half-staff to honor the police canine. Many businesses in town have also put up their own memorials as they look for ways to help.
Yesterday, my son kind of called down here and kept me up to date on what was going on because I was down here working. And him and his friends really I mean, it was touching the way they, felt about it. Not that anybody else, but it upset them.
Alton police say any donations of support to their canine program should be made directly to the police department. Police are not involved in any GoFundMe accounts that you might find online. New tonight, a staple in the Metro East is closing its doors. This week, the East St. Louis Monitor printed its last newspaper after 6 decades of keeping the community informed. Owners say they can no longer afford to keep it going. Brent Solomon spoke with staff and residents who grew up reading the Monitor.
Here on State Street in East St. Louis.
When I tell you this has been a staple in this community,
A fixture that's taken its responsibility seriously.
The man who founded this, when he founded it in the 60s, his car was firebombed. He and his family's lives were threatened.
But the East St. Louis Monitor had a purpose. Keep black communities informed by any means.
I actually started as a teenager. My very first big interview was with Shirley Chisholm.
Head writer Linda Lawson got the news this week.
Our managing editor, the owner, came in with tears in his eyes, the best boss anyone could ever have, and said, I've taken it as far as I can take it.
A message on Facebook Thursday saying, quote, the current business climate has not made it financially sustainable to continue.
the Monitor, you sure? What?
Robin Carey Boyd grew up here. She says it's the way the Metro East stayed in the know.
There's nothing that has gone on in East St. Louis that didn't come through the Monitor. If it's your birthday, it was in the Monitor. If somebody passed away, they knew it from the Monitor.
That's the sentiment,
You all were one of the best to ever do it.
also being shared in comments online
Thank you for always showcasing the photos of our students.
and by phone.
This is the way our phones have been ringing off the hook.
It makes sense. When a legacy comes to an end, it's not always easy to accept.
This is when the first African-American mayor of East St. Louis.
Especially when it's been the monitor of the biggest stories of our time.
The chance to cover everything big or small in this community, there's no price you can put on that.
Brent Solomon, 5 on your side.
And the East St. Louis Monitor distributed 4,000 newspapers every week. After printing 60 volumes, the company printed its last edition Wednesday. Well, the first week of school is over at St. Louis Public Schools, but some parents are still having issues with transportation. Many say their calls to the main SLPS transportation number have gone unanswered. Even the mayor's office says it's frustrated with the school district's lack of communication, calling it unacceptable. One parent of a child with special needs says if things aren't resolved, she'll have to quit her job.
I have to stay home with my child. I mean, it's not fair to friends to have to keep stopping what they're doing to, give us a ride. I'm not going to put that burden on anybody, because I feel like this should be resolved.
The Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education says it's aware of the problem and is giving SLPS technical assistance. Major changes are coming to an Olivet animal shelter. Next year, St. Louis County will take back control of the operations from the Animal Protective Association. Annie Krall has the story.
Who let the dogs out? Well, no one yet, but these cute puppies, cats, and all types of other animals looking to be adopted or fostered will be under new management as early as February next year. In 2022, the Animal Protective Association, or APA, took over the Olivet shelter following reports of poor conditions. Now, the shelter is going back in the hands of St. Louis County Department of Public Health. Announced this week, it's a 6-month transition so APA can focus on its long-term goals. Public Health Director Dr. Kanika Cunningham says.
Creating an atmosphere or a shelter that recognizes the intersection of public health and animal welfare. And so I think with that in mind, that we were able to really partner and learn from each other. And I think we're at a great point to where, we're comfortable and confident at resuming operations, and then we want to support APA with being able to expand what they're doing when it comes to pet adoptions.
Since December of 2022, the APA and DPA KSDH have helped with 4,000 adoptions at this Olivet shelter, and they're hoping to add one more with this little guy right here named Knight. Adopting a cat like Knight through empowered ownership is one of Dr. Cunningham's biggest goals, planning to ramp up education programs in schools so students and parents can learn how to feed a pet the right things and right amount, which Dr. Cunningham says is knowledge that's not always a given, sharing that they see the greatest number of strays and surrendered animals from North County.
And back to North County, you know, there's definitely veterinarian deserts. You have, you know, one thing I'm really talking about, you don't find too many dog parks in North County. That's another thing that I think other community partners can create space for us to be able to have, you know, a safe spot for your animals to go and play and run.
In Olivet, Annie Crawl, 5 on your side.
And the Olivet shelter houses more than 130 animals. If you're interested in adopting a new pet, you can find a link in the As Seen on TV section of KSDK.com. Coming up, mothers whose lives are at risk during pregnancy and after childbirth.
The mortality rate for pregnant women, Black women, is at its highest rate right now.
What's being done to improve maternal health in Missouri? Kennedy backs out of the 2024 campaign. What his decision could mean for the candidates still in the race.
The rain chances still look limited into the weekend, but the heat and humidity definitely building. I'm tracking the hottest days ahead for the next week in 7 minutes.
Every year, 70 women in Missouri die from pregnancy and birth complications. Last December, Governor Mike Parson announced a plan to improve maternal health in the state. Tonight, 5 on your side's Kay Quinn fact checks whether the changes are helping new moms.
The mortality rate for pregnant women, Black women, is at its highest rate right now.
Jasmine Williams is a wife and mother of 5, and she's a doula who helps women during childbirth. She knows how such a joyful time
It's gonna fall.
can sometimes come apart, especially for Black, Indigenous, and other women of color. She struggled with mental health issues during the last 3 of her pregnancies.
I don't know what it is. I think after birth, everything just goes out of whack.
Poor health and death in the first year after giving birth can be attributed to a number of health problems, everything from cardiac issues to hypertension. But mental health accounts for 50% of why moms in Missouri die. Yet 80% of those deaths are preventable. In December, Governor Parson announced a $4.3 million maternal mortality prevention plan. As of June 2024, his office tells me $2.8 million have been spent on standardizing training for maternal care providers, development of new maternal quality care plans for hospitals, and the Maternal Health Access Project, a resource for doctors and providers to connect new moms with mental health professionals. That just launched in April.
If we have a patient who has screened positive for depression or anxiety, has clear needs for mental health support, we can access this network 24 hours a day.
But patients have to visit a healthcare provider to get connected.
We've got a lot of work to do.
Dr. Karen Fowler, SSM Health's Women's Program Medical Director, says healthier outcomes need to start before pregnancy, with access to quality health care and healthy food. She also says Missouri needs to copy the programs of states that are getting it right.
It's awareness, it's collaboration, and even more importantly, it's coordination with the state and the people who pay for these things and pay for health care.
Jasmine says a doctor prescribed meds for her after the birth of her 3rd child.
I felt like a zombie. I didn't feel like a mom.
She stopped taking them and got online.
Finally, I got a friend that told me, you need mental health help.
In the end, talking with a therapist helped Jasmine feel better. Now she's working to increase the odds other moms can get the help they need. Kay Quinn, 5 on your side.
Kay also talked with local Black maternal health leaders and doulas. They say community birthing centers and Medicaid coverage to pay for the work of doulas in Missouri could also help bring about positive health outcomes for more moms. Now that both political conventions are over and the final chapter of the 2024 election begins, both Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump are ramping up their campaigns, with just over 70 days until the general election. The candidates are working to sell voters their visions for the future while trying to put down their opponents. The VP and former president will face each other for a debate September 10th in Pennsylvania. And tonight, a shakeup in the presidential election. Hours ago, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. suspended his independent bid. He's now backing former President Trump. Kennedy said he made the decision after hearing his presence in the race would hurt Trump and help Harris. He later joined Trump on stage at an event in Arizona.
For the past 16 months, Bobby has run an extraordinary campaign for President of the United States. I know, because he also went after me a couple of times. I didn't like it.
Harris' campaign responded to Kennedy's endorsement by encouraging his supporters to back her instead. Kennedy is not officially dropping from the race, though. His name will still appear on ballots across the country, including Illinois and Missouri. Well, earlier today, Scott was soaking up the sun and the beautiful weather in Highland, Illinois. It's the start of the St. Paul Kirkenfest. It features live music, local vendors, and of course, lots of food. The German-themed fair continues through Sunday night. And Scott, it was so well attended.
Yeah, and you know, Friday night's just like the kickoff. It's not even, they don't even have half of the things going on Friday nights that they do on Saturday and Sunday. So it's going to be a good time over there. And by the way, this is the Highland Square, so it's about 3 blocks away to get over to St. Paul's, and you can't really miss it if you go into Highland and just drive down the main street. You're going to see all the activity and all the folks out there enjoying the festivities and having a lot of fun. A lot of games for the kids to do too. Old school kind of fun, right? And Kelly, you and I were just having the discussion on, you know, hush puppies and how hush puppies, they have a little, their hush puppies have just a little hint, seem like of maybe a jalapeno pepper in there. All right, so anywho, we've had some scattered sprinkles showing up on the radar. Showing up on the radar versus hitting the ground, 2 different things. The air is still fairly dry from the base of those higher clouds on down, so most of that's evaporating. So even though we have something showing up north and west of St. Louis, doubtful we're going to see much out of that going through the evening hours. Upper 60s, right around 70 overnight. We do have a little more cloud cover into the mix, so that means temperatures will stay up for sure tonight. Plus, it's a little more humid as well. This big upper level ridge that's been back to our south and southwest, it's been centered over Texas, just kind of oozing into Oklahoma. Now it's starting to nudge a little bit closer to us, and that's what's going to build over us this weekend. As we make that transition, we tend to see the little disturbances come rolling around the top of that ridge, dropping off some clouds and occasionally some showers and storms. We're probably going to miss the opportunities for that in St. Louis. We're thinking we're in the lower 90s for highs. At times tomorrow there'll be some clouds around, but we just don't see much rainfall locally during the next 36 hours. Overnight, yeah, maybe there's a spritz. Tomorrow, most of it's out towards Kansas City, perhaps into mid-Missouri, but as it tries to nudge east, it's a dying and decaying complex of storms. So it fizzles out. Maybe we have some clouds that we deal with as we head into Saturday evening, Saturday night. Later Saturday night into early Sunday morning, most of the action should be well north of St. Louis, putting us squarely in that heat. Heat index values here as we look into Sunday afternoon start to approach 100 degrees. So sure, that's getting rather toasty. We're going to build that heat Monday and Tuesday, upper 90s for highs with the heat index back into the triple digits, 102 to 108 degrees. So Monday, Tuesday may be weather impact alert days because of heat, although there are still some concerns that maybe it doesn't get all that humid on Monday and Tuesday, and we hold that heat index just a little bit below the criteria level for heat advisories. And really, at this juncture, you know, we're at the end of summer, we kind of become accustomed to some heat, so it's not as big of a deal as it is early in the season as well.
That is true.
Especially when it doesn't last but for more than a couple of 3 days.
I know, we've been kind of lucky.
We've had it in short spurts this year.
Oh, love that. All right, Scott, here's Corey with sports.
Well, the Cardinals were going for a winning streak. SLU Soccer was going up against a top 10 team in the country, and we are a week out from high school football season. Stick around, sports is on deck.
This 5 on Your Side Sports Report is sponsored by Telly Tire and Auto Centers, driving your way since 1942.
Fictional manager Lou Brown said it best in Major League 2. You win 3 in a row, that's a winning streak. It has happened before. The Cardinals hadn't won at least 3 in a row since June 24th. They tried to get back on a streak tonight in Minnesota. If it's Cardinals-Twins, you know they're going to bring up 1987. Cards hoping for a better result than that World Series tonight. Twins went ahead 1-0 in the second, but Andre Palante held things right there. Bases loaded strikeout to end the inning. Cards tied it in the third. RBI single from Mason Wynn. Man, can he get to that ball low in the zone. We got a new ball game. Lars Nootbaar would give his club the lead in the fourth inning. 2 RBI double coming up all the way into the gap. The new chants were out in Minneapolis tonight. Then in the 6th inning, Brendan Donovan is going to go big fly. His 10th. This goes a long way, folks. 4-1 Cardinals. And look at all the Cardinals fans at Target Field. They love it. Andre Palante was aces tonight. 7 innings, 1 run, 5 strikeouts. What an effort from Andre. Cardinals win 6-1. And that, folks, is called a winning streak. A week from tonight, 5 on Your Sideline is back on your TV screen. High school football returns to the fields across St. Louis, and we will be there to cover it all for you. But before we get into the games that count, it was time for one final tune-up. That's right, it's Jamboree Friday in St. Louis. We went out to Francis Howell tonight. The Vikings hosted CBC, Ladue, and McClure North for Jamboree action to get ready for the season ahead. How about a little taste to satisfy your highlight cravings? Just a little bit. McClure North bobble and still a catch. Nice catch. It's pretty nice. I cannot wait until next week. Well, this fall football is not just for the boys. Girls flag football debuts as an official sport in Illinois, and we have a pair of local teams fielding a roster for the first season. Belleville East and Belleville West will face off under the lights next Thursday for the first game in the Metro East. And do not underestimate how popular and how physical this game can get for the girls.
I enjoyed that part. I'm not going to get mad at that part. That part is the greatest and the best. Girls here, we're like aggressive, okay? That's what the sport is. And I feel like that's really also a big part of football, you know? And just because we're girls, doesn't matter.
I really do think it's the wave of the future. It's another opportunity for girls to get involved. Football is only increasing in popularity. So I really think, again, this is going to become a mainstay of the fall as girls flag football.
This 5 on Your Side St. Louis City SC coverage is sponsored by Together Credit Union.
City SC resumes their MLS season tomorrow in Portland. New additions broke out in Leagues Cup play, including Marcel Hartl. The German forward scored twice in 4 games in Leagues Cup and is living up to the high expectations the club had when they brought him in.
I think he showed in the first few games, scoring and being involved and getting assists, getting penalties, that he makes us better, that he gives us a lot of flexibility in the attacking third, that he's a great character to have around. And, I still stress on that. There's thousands of great players out there, but the personality, the fit in the changing room is super important for us.
The 2 most storied college soccer programs of all time, 18 national championships between them, Indiana and SLU. Great opener for the Billiken men tonight at Herman Stadium. First half, Matthew Robles sticks with this one and it pays off. 1-0 Bills. Then in the second, SLU is going to get some help. Indiana knocks this one into their own net, and SLU starts their season with a 2-0 win over number 7 Indiana. A week away from high school football.
No, you guys are going to be everywhere.
We're going to be everywhere. We got it all covered, and some girls football too.
It's good to see.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right, thanks, Corey. A multinational tradition returns to Tower Grove when you can catch the Festival of Nations. If you don't have plans this weekend, how about stopping by the Festival of Nations? It kicks off tomorrow morning at Tower Grove Park. 75 cultures that make up the St. Louis area will be represented. More than 90 food and drink vendors will pack the park, not to mention the dozens of other market vendors, performers, exhibitors, and more. The event runs from 10 to 8 and from 10 to 7 on Sunday. It's going to be a little warmer.
Did you see those kebabs?
There, but I know, it looks fantastic.
You know how I am.
Yes, we do.
We have video proof.
Yes, we do.
It's 10:30 at night. Boy, that was a good-looking kebab there. All right, we are talking about a warm weekend. Low 90s tomorrow, low to mid 90s on Sunday. Yes, it's warming up. Yes, it's a little more humid. It won't be extreme, though, and the chances for rain this weekend, even though we could really use some, on the low side. So I think if you have outdoor activities, just stay hydrated, take it easy, don't overdo it, and enjoy yourself.
Just enjoy. All right, thanks so much for joining us. The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon is next. Start your morning with Today in St. Louis at 6 a.m.